I don't know why that keeps sliding down. Okay, are we good to go on, let's see, good to go on YouTube, good to go on Faceplant. Okay. Oh, I should probably get the music ready. That would be a good idea. As soon as we get a live audience. Okay. I'm seeing numbers, but not seeing peoples. Oh, just what I need. Damn tablet giving me a fit here. All right, music ready. Music ready. I forgot to adjust that light. Oh well. I was going to take the blue down off the top. Forgot all about that. Although the thing that gets me is the filter kits. I have red, yellow, blue. Why not green? From the WDWL TV multiplex. With great anticipation, we bring you the pride of the station. The grumpy old man, me, and who are you? Oh, the grumpy vulture. You want to take a bow? Take a bow. Do your big. All right, come on. Be nice. Do it good. Oh, you weren't. Well, kind of half-assed. Not to mention your banner. I gotta fix your banner. All right, into your spotlight. Look at the camera. Let me get this out of the way. Hi, Kathy. How are ya? I really screwed the. Yeah. There's a viewing box for chat. Now, you can adjust it. You can have bubbles, or you can have just chat, or you can have it outlined like I have it. You go to font. I adjust the font. It didn't look that big. I thought last night was big. Jesus. I can't trust the preview box. Look at the size of that font in the chat. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Oh, I give up. I just might leave it that way. I'm tired of messing with it. As I was saying, all of these studio lights that I have, they come with filters. You get a red filter, you get a blue filter, and you get a yellow filter. Every light kit I've ordered, no green. I don't know what they have against green. Yeah. I'll show you. Come on. There's the slide-in filters. They slide into the light. Lexan plastic. You get red, you get blue, you get yellow. No green. So today I ordered some transparent green plastic, and I'm going to have to cut some green filters. I'll have to dig out my bandsaw. I have a benchtop bandsaw, which will work great for cutting, because I have to cut that little dipsy doodle pull thing for the top of the filter. I don't know why, no matter what manufacturer you order from, you never get green. I have 4 different studio lights, light kits. Every kit, no green. So I went on my good old eBay and found some transparent green 1/8-inch plastic sheets. Oh, I'll tell you what, I've got a neat one. It's about, maybe, I'll say 30 inches tall, and the cutting deck is probably 12 by 12. It is as a matter of fact, Mary Ann gave it to me. Somebody gave it to her. She never used it. She brought it over one day, gave it to me, plus 10 extra saw bands. She never used it. I used the shit out of that thing. It is great. I have one of those, it's a Black & Decker. God, I bought the thing probably 30 years ago. It's like a folding workbench. And it's got 2 cranks, and you can open it up, and you can mount wood in it to cut. But it also makes a nice, small, portable workbench. So I bring out my folding Black & Decker workbench, and I put my little bandsaw on it. That's like all of my emergency lights. I hate amber. So I took and I measured out the size of the plastic for the front of the rotating light, and I took that bandsaw out and I cut a shitload of them, and I made my own green rotating lights for inside my Vista bar. Oh, I love that saw. As a matter of fact, Marianne no sooner gave it to me. Well, she must have given it to me about maybe 5 years ago. And like 2 days after she gave it to me, she goes, I need something cut. I was like, if you had your bandsaw, you could have cut it yourself, you know. Every now and then you still got the bandsaw? Yes, I do. I'm not getting rid of that thing. I have used that for so many. And you can cut a thick piece of lumber as long as you go slow. Too many people try to rush it through and then you snap the band, you know, I've already cut 4x4s on that little thing. Just go real slow and easy because I was too lazy to go in and get a power saw. If I gotta cut like 4x4s, I get my Sawzall, you know, or a circular saw, but I like using the Sawzall most of the time. Like I say, I've got, well, let's see, I bought 2 Ryobi circular saws because I like to have, one is set up for cross-cut, one is set up for regular cut. So I have 2 circular saws. Then at a garage sale, I bought 2 more for $5 a piece like I needed them, but for a spare. Then I've got 2 Sawzalls. One Sawzall I bought at the Homeless Depot, and I bought another one at a yard sale. I think I paid $3 for it. It didn't have a battery. It didn't have any saw blades. The woman wasn't even sure it worked. She had $5 on it. I said, will you take 3? Yeah, yeah. Here you go. Brought it home, plugged the battery in. I said, okay. You can never have too many saws. Or drills. Oh, Jesus Christ. You ought to see the drills. I probably have 7. Never have enough drills. Although I've got a Ryobi right angle. I love it because it's straight up and down, and then it's got the right angle head. And it is so nice if you got a drill like underneath a cupboard or something, get into a corner. I've got to buy a second one because I've used it so much. One of these days I know it's going to quit, you know. As a matter of fact, I just bought another battery. I've got the 12-volt Ryobi drill. And then I have the rest are the 18-volt. So I burned out a battery. Well, so far so good. Can't complain. Nobody want to hear it anyway. If anything goes on, Kathy, handle my light work. Hey, Kathy, have you ever watched uh, anything KTZ and KFAR? They do that booze and body cam. They were on the whole show is different body cams, different body cam videos, arrest videos and that. And they, if somebody, I can't remember what the dollar amount is on a super chat, they take a shot. If the super chat is under that, whatever the amount is, the dogs get dog biscuits. I attempted to watch it today, just before airtime. They had a video that was like 11 minutes, maybe 13 at the most. Every like 5 seconds, stop. Chat, yak, 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 yak. Run at 5 seconds, stop the video, talk. I was like, Jesus Christ. I never did see the end of it. I finally gave up. You run 5 seconds of video, then you stop and you chat for 4 minutes. Then you run 5 more seconds of video and you stop. It's almost, watching that was almost as bad as watching local TV. I told you I've got the 2 TVs. My one is, my big Samsung. I have my Roku box hooked to it, and I watch mainly police videos. I've been watching Killer in My Village. It's all filmed over in England. I love it because all the little villages, it amazes me, all these little villages throughout England. I wake up, the cat woke me up at like 5:30. So I turned on my other TV, and there was some detective program. It was an hour long. The commercials were 25 minutes and 30 seconds. I had nothing better to do. I timed it. I pulled my cell phone out and I put the timer on. And every time a commercial would come on, I'd click. And then when they go back to the program, I'd stop. 25 minutes and 30 seconds out of an hour program. And then they wonder why people don't watch local TV. It's all commercials. I'd no sooner get interested in, it was a forensics program. No sooner get interested, commercial. Then they run like 3 back to back. I was like, oh my God. And I thought it was bad when we were young. You know, one commercial like every 12 minutes. I was like, another commercial. God damn it. Now you sit there and go, it's like, and now a word from our program, you know. Did you have any idea who that was? Not me. I'll tell you, I'm not big on. You ever watch News Nation? I'm not really big on News Nation. Sometimes, yeah. I'm scrolling through YouTube videos and I see this News Nation, and it was a news story that took place Friday in New Mexico. Get this. The sheriff's department in Bernalillo County, New Mexico, received a call about two kids walking down the street with a weapon. So they responded, and the first car on the scene said, you better send some backup. He says, well, what do you got? He says, well, it's a real weapon. So they send backup. There was a bit of a standoff. One of the kids attempted to discharge the weapon and it malfunctioned. So, in order to divert their attention, they fired a couple of bean bags at what they were standing behind. They weren't aiming at. Get this. It was a 9-year-old and his 7-year-old brother with a fully loaded 9 automatic. That the parents taught them how to use. A 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. It gets even better. This house has been responded to 56 times for problems with these kids. And here, the best part. They call, well, the sheriff said, but we don't even bother calling DPS anymore, or DCS, because they turn the kids immediately back over to the parents. So, they detain them Friday. They turn the kid back over to the parent, because dad is in jail. And the 7-year-old immediately runs away. What people in their right mind teach a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old the proper function of a 9mm? Yeah, the kids knew how to operate. The whole thing is, what they're trying to determine was, if before dad went to jail, he hid the weapon, which he didn't hide it very well, not to mention he didn't put a trigger lock on it. And he's a felon. He shouldn't even be in possession of a weapon. And the asshole shows his kids how to use it. Talk about a state with screwy goddamn laws that DCS just hands the kid back to the parent. Here you go. He was walking around, him and his brother, and then they had a drone because the kids were hiding behind a big air conditioning unit, and they were passing the gun back and forth. No, it could have gone off. One of them could have ended up getting, taking that permanent dirt nap, because the one would have it, the other one would take it away from them, and then they would be fighting over it back and forth. It was disgusting. And to rack up 56 visits to this house? New Mexico's got some screwy laws. I'll tell you that. They got some screwy laws. That's almost as bad as what happened down in Florida the other day. A guy and his wife are having an argument, and he's inebriated. He finally leaves to kind of decompress the situation. He walks down to the corner of the street, and there's a kid washing his truck. Now, the guy is totally drunk, and he's trying to make conversation with this kid washing his truck. Inside the truck, the kid makes a phone call to his friend saying, hey, I'll say, Charlie's being picked on. Now, mind you, the guy is standing trying to make conversation. Of course, he's flipping drunk, but... So, he calls, hey, Charlie's being picked on. The guy, not getting any conversation, decides to walk home. 4 teenagers pull up. They get out, and they literally beat the shit out of this guy. Matter of fact, the first teenager that hit him knocked him out cold. Then they commenced to beat and kick the shit out of him while he's unconscious on the ground. One 19, 2 of them 18. The fourth one 17. Now, it gets even better. The girlfriend of one of the kids films it. They all disperse, leaving this poor guy beat to a pulp on the ground. The girl shows her mother the video. Her mother says, call the sheriff. Call the sheriff. Now, we know who the sheriff is down there, don't we? Grady. They immediately arrest all 4. The girl decides she's going to cooperate 100%. Now, all she did was take the video. They could have charged her with the group, because in Florida, one does the crime, they all get charged for the crime. Grady, get this, they're charged with attempted murder. 3 of them. 3 out of the 4. In 2 more days, the 16-year-old or the 17-year-old will be, no, he's 16. He'll be 17. At 17, you can be charged along with your friends. So Grady says in 2 more days, they will go out and arrest him and charge the 4th one with attempted murder. Needless to say, this guy's got a broken jaw, he's got a broken eye socket, a broken nose, fractured ribs, all kinds of injuries. He's still in intensive care. All because he attempted to make conversation with a kid washing his truck. I think the kid that was sitting inside the truck who called the four should also get charged. Because he's just as guilty. But you know Grady. Grady said, we ain't done yet. I tend to think there'll be a fifth arrest. I love Grady Judd. He don't take no shit, man. Grady Judd is what I call the modern version of Andy Griffith. Hey, Linda, I didn't see you. How are you? Yeah, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Somebody should get me flowers because more than once I've been called a mother. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, I love Grady. He calls them news conferences and they frame them pictures real nice. And he don't pull no punches. I love that guy. There should be more sheriffs like him. That's why basically he runs unopposed every election because people just love the shit out of him down there. But he's the modern version of Andy Griffith. But yeah, go if you want to see the news story, go on News Nation, and it was I think Friday's news story. Very interesting because they show the video of the kids kicking the shit out of this poor guy. And one kid, he was both just beating this guy on the head. They still haven't determined if he's got any traumatic brain injury right now. They're trying to get all the swelling to go down. God, his face is swollen out to here. But Grady said for a birthday present, they're going to arrest number 4. And that prosecutor, he's another one, don't pull no punches. Oh, you ought to see the video. They get out of the car and they circle this guy. And they're talking to him. And you can see he's kind of, And then this one kid just cold cocks him and he goes out like a light. Luckily when he fell in the grass and not in the sidewalk. And then they commenced to beat the fuck out of this guy. One is beating him in the head and the other ones are kicking him in the ribs and stomping on his chest. And all because he tried to make conversation with a kid washing his truck. And I think the kid inside that made the phone call should get charged too. You know, Florida's got that law Like, if you drive somebody to the bank and they rob the bank, the driver gets charged just like the guy that robbed the bank. Well, I think he made the phone call for these 4 idiots to show up. He should be arrested too, although Grady said they're not done. And you know Grady. It was disgusting watching them. And then the girl's filming it, But luckily, her mother, I'll tell you what, you got to give kudos to her mother. Her mother saw that video and said, "You call the sheriff right now." And the mom made the daughter call the sheriff's office. And mom said, "You will cooperate." So I guess since she's cooperating 100%, they're not going to charge her with anything. Plus, they seized her cell phone for the video. And they're showing it on all the channels down in Florida. Disgusting. He never even approached the kid washing his truck. He was standing on the sidewalk, trying to talk to the kid, make conversation. And when the kid wouldn't talk to him, he decided, okay, I'm going to walk home. And they stopped him on the street. Oh, God, his face is out to here. Oh, Jesus. And then News Nation was showing, God, I can't remember where the hell it was at. A 12-year-old, a 11-year-old, and a 10-year-old stole a car. They're riding down the street, and here's this guy riding his bike, minding his own business, and they deliberately hit him. Killed him, unfortunately. And the 11-year-old sitting in the passenger seat has got a 9 in his hand. They arrested all of them, too. I can't remember where that was at, but it's in that same news story. What is with kids today? God, at 10 years old, 11 years old, I was still playing with cat pistols. I'm speechless. Of course, I'm out of touch, okay? I wouldn't know where to go or who to talk to purchase a weapon. Of course, there are a lot of stupid-ass people that leave them in their car. The car gets broken into. And then there you go. And the statistics are unbelievable. How many idiots leave that stuff in their car. I'm like, where, what's with responsibility with adults anymore? I, I, I'm amazed. I don't even leave a holster in my vehicle, let alone just tuck it under the seat. And of course, Florida leads all 50 states with idiots like that. It's stupid assholes like that that are going to end up getting our rights taken away. You'll see that old amendment disappear. Hang on, I have to apologize. I was running late. Too much coffee, especially when you're this age. I apologize. Sorry about that, peoples. The second time in. Although I've been slugging the coffee quite a bit today. I should have taken a picture. My buddy laying in bed, again, his head on my pillow, all 4 feet in the air, sound asleep. I have never had a cat sleep on its back until this one. And he's a trip because that big belly is like. My 22-pound tuxedo. I wouldn't trade him for the world. He is the most unique cat I have ever had. After him and I finally came to terms that, hey, you're going back to the rescue mission, you keep this shit up. But ever since then, he's a trip. Oh, I tried to give him back 4 times. He came from, he was severely abused. When I got him, he was 6 months old. The family that had him, they almost killed him a couple of times. He had this thing for water. Anything with water, he would splash that shit all over. If somebody accidentally left the lid up, you would walk in there, the bowl would be empty, and there would be water everywhere. I remember once I was getting ready to clean the tub, and I had maybe about 3 inches of water in the tub. I go out in the kitchen to get whatever cleaning aid I needed. I come back in. He's in the tub, splashing in the water. I looked at him and I said, "You're a cat. Cats don't like water." Standing in the tub. It took me forever to break him, the goddamn, but he wouldn't do it with his water bowl. That was the only thing he would leave alone. Anything else was fair game for him. I couldn't, like I say, I walked around, I come in from the kitchen, I step in the bathroom, and I'm looking, and he's in the tub. Playing in the water. I've never in my life seen a cat do that. But if you put his water bowl down, oh, that's to drink out of. Perfect example. 2 weeks ago, I'm going to make sweet tea. So I put water in a pan, put the pan on the stove. Now I didn't turn it on. I go across the kitchen to the cupboard to get the tea bags. I turn around. He's sitting on the counter with his feet in the pan of water. I said to him, "What are you doing?" He was like, I'm soaking my feet." Jumped up on the counter, walked over to the stove, and stuck his feet in the water pan that I'm going to make tea in. Now, mind you, his water bowl is on the table because I don't use my kitchen table. I keep my cat dishes up there. He won't, luckily, he won't mess with his water bowl. But stick his feet in my tea water. I've never had a cat that likes water. Hey, a new guest. How are ya? Happy Mother's Day to ya. Yeah, well, I should get a Mother's Day and a Father's Day, because when my son's mother and I divorced, I've had him since he was 11 and a half. So I should get a Mother's Day and a Father's Day gift. Just saying. This year I won't even get a Father's Day gift. Let me check my notes here. Okay. Did we go on Amazon and check the saw out? What the hell's the name of that stupid thing again? The Pale Waffle. Hey, another day above ground. If I open my eyes, I got 90% of the way the day done. One. Come on. Try that again. Take two. If I open my eyes, I've got 90% of the day won. There we go. You didn't check? Even after spelling that stupid name out? That's all right. It ain't going nowhere. I'm sure Amazon has a shitload of them. Oh, he wasn't malnourished. Like I said, I got him when he was 6 months old. He got rescued from a family of kids that tried to kill him a couple of times. They thought it was funny to take him up on the second story, hold him upside down, and drop him, because cats always land on their feet. They had done that several times. Finally, one of the neighbors called the rescue. They went out and got him. And I was looking for a cat at the time, a kitten. And they called me and they said, "Oh, we got one for you. You like tuxedos, we got one for you." They didn't bother to tell me he was part duck. I never, like I say, 2 weeks ago, he walks over, sticks his feet in my tea water. And then he looks at me like, "What are you looking at?" Oh, I've never had a problem with him drinking water either. And that's part of the problem. Cats don't drink enough water, and that's why they end up with UTIs constantly, especially fixed cats. Not this one. He's good about drinking his water. He really is. I do a combination with mine. They get wet and dry. Because that's what the vet told me. You got to feed them the wet food to make sure that they get enough moisture in their system, but he loves water, but he gets his delectables, and I switch back and forth on the dry food. He's got Meow Mix, seafood flavor. Usually he gets Purina seafood flavor. Oh, you don't dare try to give him a bath. Oh, no. No. He don't mind getting the feet wet. Anything else? Instant mountain lion. I tried to give him a flea bath one year. I don't know who had more injuries, him or me. I finally gave up. I was like, yeah. Yeah, my vet told me, because I had one cat that got used to get urinary infections at the drop of a hat. And the vet said, well, what are you feeding them? I said, well, Friskies or... Friskies what? Friskies dry food. He says, you got to feed them half and half. I said, okay. And ever since I've been doing that, I've never had a problem. Never. They get their wet food, they get their dry food. But like I say, he loves to drink water. God, he sounds like a basset hound at the water bowl. Blah, 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 blah. Makes more noise than a motorboat. Now see, he's not too fussy with the dry. As long as it's seafood flavor. So I either do Purina, Friskies seafood, or Meow Mix seafood. And no generic. Because generic has got too much ash content in it, which is bad for them. So he don't do no generic cat food. No dry generic because it's crap. Speaking of granddaughter, how's the softball player doing there? I noticed I picked up another subscriber, so we're starting to go up again. Maybe by the end of the year, I might even get to 100. Although I'll tell you what, I have made the rounds with cat food. I think I have had every canned cat food manufacturer on earth. And it's like at the drop of a hat. He was eating Fancy Feast and loved it. No matter what. He liked pate. And then one day, he just stopped. Like, I ain't eating that shit no more. Now, I was running out of, wet cat food choices. So I tried these delectables, which ain't cheap. Oh, those he likes. It figures, you know, the expensive shit. Although he won't touch like Science Diet or a lot of those hoity-toity. I'm trying to think some of the brands of them little goddamn cans. Imes, forget it. Nope, no Imes, no Fancy Feast. Now, see, my vet told me a regular, you know, fairly regular diet of real tuna isn't good for him. Not to mention, it's one of the most expensive ones out there. Jesus. I I cringe when I go in Pet Supplies Plus, looking at the prices of that goddamn cans of cat food. Jesus Christ. Some of them little dinky $2.95 a can. Well, you know, it seems like every vet on earth peddles that science diet. They must get a good cut out of it. And mine. All right, Kathy. Happy Mother's Day. Now, I stay away from generic and store brand. I don't know. It's got to be a brand name, and I always check the ingredients to make sure there's not a lot of ash content or salt content or. Oh, yeah, veterinarians got to get a big kickback. The vet I used to go to had like a whole wall of science diet. Christ, he had everything. Science diet, cat food, science diet, dog food, science diet, goat food, science diet, rabbit food, chicken food. I was waiting for like, you know, alligator food and mountain lion food. Yeah, well, a lot of good it does if your goddamn animal won't eat it. That's why what I do is I'll buy like 2 cans. And if they eat it, then next time I'll get like maybe 4 cans. And if they eat that, then I'll get like 6 the next time. Because I ain't buying, a month's worth for them to go, up, I'm done. I ain't eating this shit. And mine is so picky. Once he stops eating it, he'll starve. My neighbor said, oh, when he gets hungry, he'll eat it. No. And sometimes he'll just literally knock the bowl off the table. You're like, I ain't eating that shit. And I'm scraping it up off the floor, you know. I outright told my vet, I said, he won't eat it. I ain't buying it. Sorry. Then, of course, they give you, them store brands, they're not as good. Yeah, well, that's because you ain't getting your cut. I got a new vet now. He's cool. He's Indian. Wears a big turban. Looks like Mahatma Gandhi. Comes on a big beard. I like him because he don't hawk that. You don't see no animal food in his office. He's just a good, down-to-earth and real reasonable, too. Because some of these vets, God, you see the bills, you think you're getting it'd be cheaper to put your cat in a hospital in an ICU ward. I remember when my neighbor's cat got sick. Just all the goddamn tests and blood work were over $1,000. Talk about gouging people. Jesus Christ. Yeah, she showed me a bill like $1,200. I said, for tests? And then they, now they do CT scans. The one conglomerate vet, it's a couple of cities over, they have an animal psychiatrist. An animal psychiatrist. I'm like, boy, you guys are really pushing for the bucks. And then they got a staff of like 12 doctors, and each one specializes in a certain thing, I said every S in the name on the sign should be a $sign. Christ, it costs you like $125 just to walk in the goddamn door, let alone have your animal examined. Well, that's because overfeeding, the animals get, well, I should talk. Mine's overweight, but he's healthy. Yeah, friends of mine had a diabetic cat. Every day had to give him shots. Goddamn insulin was expensive as hell. I bitched about prices one day, and the receptionist literally told me, well, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't own an animal. I turned around and I said, this will be my last visit here. Put my file in the deleted customer bin. I ain't coming back here no more. Oh God, I got postcards and we're sorry, we appreciate your business. Yeah, telling me if I don't like the bill, don't own an animal. I was like, okay. I just won't use you as my vet no more. How's that? You lost a customer. Hey, Wyatt, I think I saw you earlier today. Oh. I had to pop in and say hi to Josh. I know if I don't pop in enough, he gets worried. Like today, he was like, gee, I was looking for you. Where you been? You know the microphone that he uses, I sent to him, Wyatt. His microphone went bad. I had a brand new Blue Yeti Nano. So I shipped it off to him. Every now and then he'll pick it up. It's a little blue one about that high. I got a bunch of free ones when my buddy passed away. So he needed one. So I shipped it off to him. Kept him online. I haven't. God, today it's probably been a good month and a half. I keep missing. So today I saw he was live, so I popped in to say hi. All right, Mrs. M, take care. Good seeing you. Well, I'm the last guy. The goddamn microphone's doing its nightly echo. I've got my other studio all ripped apart. I've got to get over there and get it back, everything wired up back together, because I had a lot better luck when I was running off the soundboard and the interface than using these USB micro. I don't know what. The USB mics are convenient. Plus, I have all my sound effects over there, which people got irritated with, but I used to like to throw sound effects in now and then. Especially I'd make a comment and flush a toilet or something, you know. It sounds echoey. As long as it sounds good on your end. To me, it sounds echoey all of a sudden. But I've been saying for weeks I'm going to get over there and get that studio put back together. I took it all apart because after a while, I don't trust old cables. You know, so what I'll do is I'll order all brand new stuff. Everything, cables for everything, the monitors, and I've got all the shit sitting around. So one of these days, I got to get over there. Plus, I got a new camera I want to try out over there. get back in the old studio, use my soundboard, my sound effects, because I've got 2 Amazon Fire tablets that are all loaded with sound effects. And I've got them all plugged into the mixer. So I used to do a lot with the sound effects, and people would get pissed off, like, did you have to do that? Yeah, I thought it was funny, Tell a joke and it would bomb, and I'd play a fart. Yeah, back in the old days when I was cranking sound effects during my streams. Plus, see, I can plug the tablet into the mixer, and I don't have to hold it up like to the microphone. I just, like you see in a studio, move the sliders up, move the sliders down. I've got a God, that mixer is expensive as hell. The goddamn Behringer mixer. Had to, all the equipment I had to buy. Because I was using all old school equipment. All the old XLR microphones. Running through that Behringer mixer. I never had sound problems or anything over in the other studio. I just have to get off my lazy ass and plus I've been drawing up some plans. And if I decide to do what I'm going to do, I probably have to shut my stream down for a week or 2. Because I'm thinking of, instead of having 2, one big studio. Oh, you're back. I didn't even know you were gone. Oh. I thought maybe you were taking off somewhere. Was it a nice Mother's Day? Did granddaughter take care of mom and grandma? Did anybody get taken out for dinner today? Well, good. Good. Is she taking it easy now? Doing things slowly, letting nature take its course? Rain on my... Oh. That kind of dampens things. Oh, okay, Kathy, rub it in. Rub it in. Steak. Uh-huh. Rub it in. I haven't had a steak in eons. I can't even afford to look at a steak in the store, let alone buy one. God, the prices of fresh meat. You would think that we had, like, a cow shortage with the prices of beef. I said that the we got a little butcher shop. I went in one day. I'm just looking. He said, "Can I help you?" I says, "What those prices?" I said, "Do we have a cow shortage?" He just looked at me like, "Huh?" Goddamn porterhouse steak, okay? 1 pound porterhouse steak, $24.95. One steak. God, back in the 70s for $24.95, you could buy a case of steaks. God, I remember back in the day, my neighbor would get a loin, and I would cut my own steaks. And I got, I'd get a whole loin for, I think it was like $30. And I could cut some thin steaks and then some nice thick steaks, because I like my steaks about an inch thick, maybe a little more. But you can't even afford goddamn hamburger today. We've got a food bank up the street. I'm really starting to consider seeing if I can get a load of food. It's getting ridiculous. Matter of fact, I got the number. I got to call them. Then they got goofy hours. They're open Tuesday 9:30 to noon and Wednesday 5 to 6:45. That's it. So I'm going to call them and say, what do I need? How do I qualify? At this point, I'll take any freebies I can get my hands on. My pantry is starting to slowly look like old Mother Hubbard's cupboard. Although, a couple years back, I don't know where my neighbor's daughter would go. And she'd have boxes of stuff. She'd bring boxes over to me. Here. I was like, "Don't you want any of this?" She goes, "Christ, I got a shitload now." My goddamn cupboard was full. Of course, a lot of generic crap. I had cans of pork and beans. I never even heard of the companies. Well, I'll tell you, I looked them up yesterday. They're right up the street, the church in the corner. It's called Bountiful Basement. Oh. Yeah. Tuesday 9:30 to 12 and Wednesday 5 to 6:45. Now I've driven past there at 5 o'clock and there's cars everywhere. But I'm going to call them tomorrow and say, hey, what do I need to bring to qualify, to see if I qualify? Better me than some illegal immigrant getting stuff. Because a couple years ago, we had some not so honest and they were taking and getting the freebies and then taking it across town to their store. And luckily, they finally got caught. I think the dead giveaway was when they pulled in their goddamn Mercedes SUV. Oh, we're poor. Load up on this side of town and then go to the other side of town and put all the shit on their, and sell it. That was disgusting. Here you got people, in dire need, and you're coming into your goddamn $100,000 Mercedes SUV saying that you're poor and you got 6 kids, and then loading all that stuff up and then taking it across town and selling it in your store. Oh, I was happy to see them get busted. Because I had seen people turned away that were in need. Because they frickin' run out of goddamn food. And here these idiots are taking it and selling it. But I'm going to call tomorrow. And I'm going to ask, what do I need? I think it said on there like my Social Security statement and a current utility bill. As much as I dislike generic canned goods, if you want to see the difference, get a can of fresh green beans. And then get a can of generic. And get 2 bowls and pour each can in a bowl. And you will see, first of all, the difference in the water content, And then you will see the difference in the green beans. I had a can of generic green beans. There were stems in the can. Yeah, the end of the green bean, the stem was still on the goddamn. And they're usually grade B, C, or D beans. They're not grade A. And there's more water in the can than there is bean. Same thing. Take a can of like Bush's baked beans and a can of generic baked beans. And everybody thinks, oh, generics. No, it ain't worth the money. You're getting poor quality ingredients. You're getting more water. In the pork and beans, you were getting more frickin' ketchup than you were beans. That's why basically I don't buy generic canned goods or store brand. Unless I know, but see, even the store brand, you're still getting grade B or C. But see, part of the problem, they used to have single serving cans. You can hardly find them anymore. Used to be able to get single serving everything. Green beans, corn, even, single serving pork and beans. They're getting harder and harder and harder to find. Yeah, Linda, I showed a friend of mine. I said, yeah, I'll show you. Get 2 bowls out. And I had a can of regular cut green beans. And I had a Fresh Like or a brand name. Poured them in a bowl. They're nice and green. And then I took the generic and poured it in the bowl, and they're dark color and more water and stems and leaves. And I said, look, you're not saving any money. So when it comes to canned goods, I buy strictly brand name. And I'll tell you, the worst is generic ketchup. Oh, Jesus. Now, I like Heinz. I'm a ketchup snob. I like Heinz. You take some of the generic ketchups and they're like, gee, the whole bottle came out at once. When it comes to certain things, I like Heinz ketchup, French's mustard, Hellman's mayonnaise, Miracle Whip. Sometimes I get a real butter. Not, it tastes like butter. No, it don't. It tastes like grease. I had more arguments with wives. I had to break them all in. Not Hunt's ketchup, Heinz. French's mustard. I think French's mustard tastes the best. My opinion. Hellman's. No, no other mayonnaise. No, nothing tastes like. Although I'll tell you what, we recently started getting Duke's. Duke's mayonnaise is pretty damn good. It's not Hellman's, but it's close. I would go Duke's if I couldn't find Hellman's. Matter of fact, I had seen commercials, and I was like, what's with this Duke's? And then all of a sudden it appeared in the store. I was like, well, I'll try it. It's a close second. Real butter. Real. Right from the cow. None of this, it tastes like butter. No, it don't. Well, sometimes I get a taste for Miracle Whip. Now, you will find both in my fridge. You'll find Hellman's and you'll find Miracle Whip. And I tried Duke's. It's close to Hellman's. Not exact. But in a pinch, I would go with it. My mother used to like that crappy, and it's surprising, it's made by Hellman's. That spin blend. Ugh. God, that was the nastiest stuff on earth. I was like, how can Hellman's put their name on this? Spin blend. I'm surprised they still make it. I didn't think people still eat that shit. And I like Ken's blue cheese dressing. I like blue cheese, and I think Ken's is the best. I used to have a printed list on the refrigerator. And I'll tell you what, for hot sauce, I love Cholula. It's the one with the wooden knob on the top for a lid. The Mexican Cholula. Oh, God, I love that hot sauce. And believe me, I have tried every hot sauce out there because I like hot sauce. My friends cringe when I put hot sauce on a hot dog. And I don't buy cheap, crappy hot dogs. I like good hot dogs. Natural casing. Yeah, I'll put hot sauce on a hot dog. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm putting hot sauce on. What do you think I'm doing? It kicks that hot dog up a little bit. Yeah, I'm a real snob when it comes to my condiments. Although, who was it you, Kathy, telling me about the Irish butter? I'm hooked on that stuff. I have to go to Aldi's to get it because it's cheaper at Aldi's. Boy, am I hooked on that. Irish butter. I was like, I thought it was a gimmick. Oh, but if I go to like gigantic eaglet, oh Jesus Christ, you got to take out a loan to buy it. But Aldi's, it's very reasonable at Aldi's. So I go to Aldi's to get my Irish butter. I'm sold on that stuff. I don't use a lot, but I'll tell you what, that stuff outstanding. The Irish know how to make butter. I thought it was a gimmick. I really did. And then we were discussing it, and you told me about it, and I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm hooked. I always make sure that when I get down to about half, I go get another block. So I always have it on hand. I like it because, like, if I'm gonna saute like onions and peppers, it it doesn't separate like regular butter. You know how regular butter will start to burn. It separates out, and not this Irish butter. Oh no! And it when you saute peppers and onions in, oh, it you can tell the difference in the, oh yeah. Well, whatever they do to make it, they're doing something right, because you can definitely tell the difference. Yeah, I can't remember how big the block. It's perfect for me. Maybe an 8-ounce block. I know it's not a pound. Maybe 10 ounce, but it's perfect for me. I've never had homemade butter. I've heard it's really outstanding. Churn it yourself. I've never had it. I'll have to find someone. Maybe go out to Amish country. Get some fresh churned butter. Try it. Well, if you had a cow, you'd have your butter and your milk, fresh butter, fresh milk, fresh cream. You know, they say, oh, you can't drink unpasteurized milk. People have been doing it for eons. I wouldn't have any problem with it. Although maybe I'd have to check with my oncologist first before I go drinking any, but I wouldn't have a problem with it. Fresh out of the cow. Take my coffee cup over. Thank you. Couple of good squirts of fresh milk. Couldn't get any fresher than that. When I used to stay at my uncle's farm, the farm down the road, they had cows. And the girls, the daughters, actually taught me how to milk a cow. I thought it was cool. I got to be an old hand at it. It was fun. They had, what did they have, 4? I think they had 4 cows. And every morning the girls would go out and milk the cows. Then they taught me how. It's really easy. Once you get the hang of it. And they used to tell me, lean into the cow. What do you mean, lean into the cow? Put your head against the cow. Okay. I don't know why. You have to hug a cow when you milk it. I did what they told me to do. Every now and then they screw with me and squirt me, you know. Hey! Yeah, I'd be sitting next to them watching and they'd turn one of those udders up and then the 2 of them would sit and laugh. Gotcha. Yeah, they had the twin girls. They were a year younger than me. I'll tell you what, at 10, 11 years old, those girls could drive a goddamn tractor out in a field as good as a 60-year-old farmer. They were amazing watching them hook up combines and hook this up and hook the plows up. And yeah, they told me that. Sometimes a cow will only let a certain person. Now, out of the 4, there was only one that, so I don't know if the other 3 were picky or what. But the one they taught me on was the one I would come over and milk. I would go over in the afternoon because they would be out there, Jesus Christ, 4 in the morning milking a cow. That farm life wasn't for me. Yeah, they'd get up 4 in the morning, milk the cows, feed the chickens, gather the eggs. And of course, you know, they were born into it. But before school, they had to go out and milk the cow and gather eggs and feed the ducks and the chickens. And but boy, I'll tell you what, they amazed me. Dad would tell them, well, tomorrow morning you gotta go plow the field across the road. They'd be out there hooking a plow up. Across the road they'd go with the tractor. There was a pair of twins I didn't mess with. They'd have thrown me under that plow. But it was cool when they taught me how to milk one. Oh, I'd show up in the afternoon for afternoon milking. But just one cow. The brown one with the white patch on its face. That was the only one I could milk. Had a neat white patch on its face. Yeah, I could not believe when they told me they had to get up at 4 in the morning and do chores before school. And then when the school bus, pick them up and then drop them off, and then after school, they had more chores to do. But when you're born into it and your parents are making money off their farm, you gotta pitch in. Because I know they sold eggs, and they had a hay field and a straw field and a wheat field. And I can't remember what else. Corn. They had a cornfield because they had, I think, 80 acres. Yeah, because my uncle, he had 55 and they had 80. And it was year-round work. Dad drove the school bus. Yeah, you were never late for school. I didn't know you were a farm girl, Linda. Although I'll tell you what, it's an interesting way of life to grow up on a farm. Very interesting. I used to look forward to going out to my uncle's, spend the summer out there. Although he would get pissed off. You spend more time down the road than you spend up here. Well, yeah, because they're two blonde, blue-eyed twins down the road. There ain't nothing here. Uh-uh. You know, they used to drive the tractor down to the general store and never get stopped by the sheriff. The sheriff would wave, drive by, because that was a way of life. Yeah, they'd say, hey, we got enough money to go get some candy. Okay. Jump on the tractor. Down to the general store. Sheriff drive by, I'd be like, oh no! They'd be waving. Yeah, I'll never forget it. I told my uncle that. He goes, "You sure don't spend much time here." I said, "Well, Uncle Joe, let me tell you. Would you spend a lot of time here if there were two blue-eyed blonde twins down the road?" He just looked at me like, Not to mention they were only a year younger than me. But those two could kick my ass in a heartbeat, I'll tell you what. They were some tough farm girls. Get up 4 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week. Ugh. And me, being the old city boy, they'd be like, because a lot of times I get invited for dinner. After dinner, we'd all do dishes. And it'd be 7:30. They'd be like, "Well, time for bed." I'd be like, "What?" I didn't go to bed till like 9, 9:30, 10. And they were like, "Well, yeah, we got to be up at 4 a.m. You don't." Oh, okay. Go back up to my Go back up the street to my uncle's farm. Holy shit, that's a hell of a garden. Yahoo! Wow. Are you sure you ain't one of the twins from down the road? You sure you didn't move from Ohio? Yeah, they used to. I can't remember. They would plant like 3 or 4 acres as a 4-H project and grow all kinds of tomatoes, peppers, onions, potatoes. Yeah, they had their own little patch. And then harvest time, like when tomatoes were ready, they had their own little stand on the corner. That's how they made their money. They would have to tend their 3 or 4 or 5 acres or whatever it was. And then my uncle, their father built, because he had a stand, because they sold all kinds of eggs and food. And then they had their own little roadside stand. Oh, damn, Linda, you a real farm girl. Holy shit. God damn, good for you. See, you knew what farm to table meant. Today kids had no idea what do you mean farm to table. Yeah, you grew it so that you had something to eat or sell. Nothing teaches you, responsibility like growing your own. I mean, I only spent like 2 months, and I saw how hard farming was, let alone 12 months a year, 365 days a year, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Tough life, but if the harvest comes in, it's a rewarding life too. And any kids that grew up on a farm learned responsibility and became responsible citizens. You didn't find too many kids that grew up on a farm robbing banks or toting guns, unless it was hunting season. I always wonder what happened to the twins. I kind of lost touch with them after my uncle passed. But boy, I'll tell you what, they could run every piece of farm equipment out there. Like when they go out and bale hay, and then they'd have to come back, unload the hay wagon on the conveyor belt up into the barn. Man, that was ass busting work. Holy shit. Because when them bales were coming up off that conveyor, you better get it stacked over there in the barn to get the next bale. There was no such thing as we're slowing down. But I'll tell you what was amazing, to see them during the week, and then Sunday going to church. It was like, wow, look, Cinderella. I'll tell you, my grandmother, she used to can't. Oh man, in in her cellar was just rows and rows and rows and rows of mason jars. She can everything. But you know, they came from the Depression. They came through the Depression. So you you learned to can your own. As a matter of fact, I had my grandmother's big, I'll call it a hot tub. She put in, and then it'd be like 20, 20 jars, and then hot cook them. Then you'd have to check each lid to make sure each lid got sucked down, because if it didn't seal right, you had to do it over. And then she had the little mason jars for all the jellies and jams that she made, and then covered the top with wax. No lids, wax. That was my job. If she'd make jelly or jam, I got to pour the hot wax on top. When the wax had cooled, when it was cool enough, I'd dip my hand in it. Come up and have a. Next thing I know, there'd be a whack in the back of the head. Quit wasting my wax. Okay. Yeah, my uncle had what the hell was that? A farm all. And the tractor had them little dipsy doodle 2 wheels in the front. Yeah, farm all. Because I got to drive the farm all down the corner to the twins. That's the only driving I ever did. Oh, I felt like a big shit. You know, 10 years old, driving that tractor. Because the sheriff never did a damn thing. Kids would be driving by on the tractors, and he'd wave to them. Hi. So I'd fire up the farm all and drive down the end of the road. Good memories. Real good memories. Learned a lot. It was good to see that way of life. Because it basically brought farming into perspective. You learned where your food came from. Oh my God. That's hilarious. I could see the nurse. Between labor pains, spell cucumber for me. Holy shit. Yeah, a hot bath. I remember my grandmother doing that, the hot bath. And then when she'd take them out, when they cooled, you had to make sure the lids were sucked down. That way you knew that it was a good seal. Then before she'd put them on the shelf, she'd always make sure, give them one little extra crank. Oh God, I could just see that. Laying there in the delivery room and the nurse going, "Could you spell cucumber for me?" Yeah. "Can I finish my labor pain first, nurse?" "Is that spelled with a C or a K?" "How do you spell cucumber? K-U... No, not K." I can't even spell cucumber, and I love them. You could definitely tell the city nurses. "You had what for breakfast?" "Cucumbers." "How do you spell cucumber?" "Take a deep breath now. Let it out. And then spell cucumber real fast before the next labor pain." "Spell it a little slower. I can't write that fast." God, there's a story to tell. That's almost as good as the car buying story. Spell cucumber. Oh, I love that car buying story. Oh my God. I try to envision that today. The two of them walking into a showroom and just sitting down. God, the one, I'll tell you how goddamn elite. Off of Brook Park Road, they have a Acura dealer. And one day, now, like I'm going to buy an Acura pulling in the shit box, slam the door, Russ falls in the parking lot, and the guy hands you a broom and said, take that with you when you leave. So I'm looking. And he said, can I interest you in something? I said, no, I'd like to take this for a ride. Oh, you have to make an appointment. I said, what? Oh, yes. You just can't take it for a test drive. You have to make an appointment. To buy a car? Oh, yes, sir. We only do by appointments. Is this a car dealer or a hospital? Yeah, the guy told me. The only way I could look at a car was by appointment only. I said, I'll see ya. I can imagine my grandparents wouldn't be buying a car there. Well, that's an interesting use for preparation H. Oi, oi, oi. It works on burns? Really? Wow. You know what? When they were doing the testing, I always felt sorry for the guys that, preparation A through G. Now, my one aunt would use preparation H under her eyes to make the bags go away. I remember her doing that. If she'd be going out somewhere, she'd get the old preparation H underneath each eye, make the bags go away. I'll never forget. I saw it. I said, "Hey, Aunt May, what are you doing with that? That's not how you use it." "Oh yes, watch." And the bags disappeared. I didn't know you could use it for burns. Mix it with 50-50, huh? Mix it together and wow. Learn something every day. I have to remember that. Not that I plan on getting burned. interesting. Very interesting. I'll learn something new. Very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I might have to mix a little bit up for emergencies. Good to know. Very interesting. Well, appreciate sharing that. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm going to have to mix some up. It's good to have for an emergency. Yeah, I don't have to buy big tubes of it, just enough to mix. Cool, Linda. Thanks for appreciate that. Speaking mixing things up, I think it's time to mix up the outro. I'm getting a little hungry. All right, where's the stylus? Damn it. Oh, there it is. It's that time. Oh, we know where, right here, WDWL TV. And with that, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I learned something new, Linda. Thank you. Appreciate that. And everybody, have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again right here tomorrow night. Take care. See ya.